Jason from Game-Rave.com, and this is Game-Rave TV. So with the collecting of videos we've done over the years, I've never really just sat down and talked shop. That is, collecting video games in general. Clearly, you're all like-minded folk, otherwise you wouldn't be here. For those of you who have really never been bitten by the collecting bug yet, or were unsure if collecting is the right thing for you, let me share my own trials, tribulations, and general rules. First, I have a single, solitary rule when it comes to collecting video games. Do not ever collect video games as a financial investment. That thought process will only lead to ruin, horrible distortions of both a value and rarity, or worse, believing this actually means anything. That said, I also have two general pieces of advice. Under no circumstance should you ever collect for the point of bragging. The number of games and or the current value of games mean absolutely nothing to anyone but yourself. I have seen far too many people spend thousands of dollars on collections that were nothing but dust-forming factories, or spend hundreds on a single game just to say they have it, and that's it. This need for attention and public praise for crap we buy is not just a horrible slippery slope, but also the collecting equivalent of a selfie, and those get old really fast. The other piece of advice is that you should never ever compare yourself to anyone else. For starters, this is your collection. Games, like books, define the person using them. You are telling the world who you are. Always tell the truth. If you were to judge me by the way my modern day collection is, I am an open world paragon leader with an appetite for morality choices and shotguns. All of this applies to me who I am in real life, minus the shotguns. Judge me by my retro library and you'll find a completist freak with an unhealthy love of variance and all things compact disc. So let's start at the very bottom. You're a gamer. You love what you play what you love, and you already know what you're going to buy for sure. In my case, Mass Effect and Fallout will always be day one purchases for me, no matter what system. Hell, I bought a Wii U just to play Mass Effect 3 with the touchpad, which would have been an amazingly fun investment had EA let me know that they weren't supporting DLC before I bought it. The funny part about that purchase is that I broke my own damn rule when it came to hardware purchases, so we'll start there. Now, when we talk hardware, I don't mean collecting multiple machines. I mean buying a machine you don't have yet for the purpose of playing games on it. The formula I use for my GameStop customers in regards to buying a new machine applies for old machines as well. That formula is to take the cost of the system and divide that by the average price of a game on the system. The answer you get becomes the number of games you would need in order to justify the purchase. In our little example here, we are using the price of a PlayStation 4. Let's start with a real retro example. Years ago, I sold off my 3DO collection because I just wasn't using it. Within the last few months, I was sort of thinking about getting back into it. And then I thankfully punched myself out and did the subset video instead. Here's why I didn't bite the bullet. The FZ10, or as I call it, the Poor Man's Turbo Duo, is about $150 based on condition. After looking over some eBay auctions, it looks like the average game price is about $25. Not bad from a value perspective. So using that math, it would be about 6 games to play to justify the investment. After some window shopping, and using my satellite collecting technique thanks to already owning the 30 PSX conversions, it turns out 5 of the 6 games I wanted all fall within the $25 average. The problem comes with number 6, Snow Job. Being one of the last 3DO games ever made as the system sank below the bargain bin depths meant it never really made it to a vast production or circulation cycle. At the time of this video, the game runs $200. For why not just try it out for curiosity's sake, that question becomes, do I want to buy a system where a single game is more expensive than the entire unit? Taking into account that Snow Job isn't exactly an award-winning game, I can back off and save myself on the overall purchase. Remember, the actual point of buying the games is to play them, and should be the number one reason. Snow Job's cost brings us to the first step in game collecting. These precautions and understandings will help guide you on the path that best suits you. We'll start with the simplest form of collecting, buying for keeps. These are the games you would buy regardless because you want to play them, but end up loving them so much you could never let go. In my case, the already mentioned Mass Effects and Fallouts qualify, but also now includes newcomers like the Tomb Raider reboot series and the Fear series. Libraries like this are the core foundation, the most common collection found. It's the reason you have Nintendo and Atari systems in your attic. Because you know one day you will play those games once again. From here, the next step is going for a collection of the same series. For example, thanks to my love of the first Fear game, I made sure to track down all 3 of its other sequels on 360. I first tried Fear when it was $10 or less, and that was one of the best chances I've ever taken. Thanks to trying it so late in its lifetime, I was able to pick up the 3 other games for pennies on the dollar. Collecting a series of games is the easiest way to test the waters out with how far you really want to take your collection. Another great example would be those who haven't jumped into the Assassin's Creed series. With the exception of the newest games, you can easily pick up and play the entire legacy for a fraction of the cost. I bring up Assassin's Creed specifically because it crosses the generation gap. If you're strictly a console gamer, this allows you to roll from a series collection right into the upgrade conversations to keep the complete series going. Here's where the dividing line comes in, and I mean that in a sense of side to side, not superior or inferior. In many cases of long-running series, you're going to run into that problem child. The stupidly expensive game that you want or need for your collection to be complete. This is where you want to decide if you want to go the easy route or the painful route. An easy route would be like waiting for it to be re-released in cheaper form, like digital copies or on compilations. The painful route is snagging it in its original form, regardless of its condition or completeness. If you chose the cheaper route, congratulations! You're well aware of your surroundings and more than likely will be a casual collector. If you chose the expensive route, congratulations! You just opened up a can of worms you may never return from. This leads us to the final two parts of learning how what you'll collect. Now that you're willing to spend some money, let's go back to Snow Job on the 3DO. The final steps in collecting from here are essentially full set and full set with variants. The latter is self-explanatory since so few go down that road. The actual act of collecting a full set, however, is usually started backwards. People will dive headfirst into bargain bins and garage sales, scooping up every cheap dollar game they can find. While your numbers begin to skyrocket, you're really just buying the filler. If you want to truly prove yourself that you're going to go for a full set, find the top 15 most expensive games the system has and go after those first. If just hearing that made you wince, congratulations, you have no need for a full set. If you balked at the thought, realize the litmus test it's providing. In broad terms, cheap games get cheaper, expensive games get more expensive. There are some exceptions to the rules, but the main point is that if you don't have suicidal thoughts on spending possibly triple digits on a piece of plastic multiple times over, and if you make it past those 15 games, you just bottomed out the amount of money you'll spend from there on out. The best example I can offer to this is Magical Chase on the TurboGrafx 16. Back in 2002, it was the last game I needed to complete my first ever full set, and I kept waiting for it to drop in price. I ended up buying it from a collector for $150 when it was averaging $250. While I hated myself for spending that much, the savings, courtesy, and the feeling of finally having that full set made it all worth it. Had I kept waiting to buy it, however, well, I'd still be a game short. Finally, and this is what will separate you from everyone else, do something with the collection. Play them with friends, stream, do Let's Plays, write guides for games that don't have them on GameFAQs, share your collecting adventures with others in the rest of the world, and more. Do it in the way you want to, for the fun, the experience, and the journey, not for the fame, the false fortunes, or the clickbaiting. I've often joked that Game-Rave is the hobby that supports my other hobby. Seeing how my collecting journey has been reduced to chasing variants, this YouTube experience is my new journey, and it's pretty frickin' cool for everyone involved. Thanks to you guys and gals. So as long as you always do it for fun, and in my case, the journey, you will always love what you do and do what you love. Alright guys, that does it for this week. If you guys need any advice or have questions, as always, just post below, hit me up on Twitter or Facebook, or just send me an email from the website. Have a great weekend, guys. Be safe, take care, play your games, and no matter what you decide to do, have fun collecting. We'll see you next week on Pause Mode.